Over here we got, visually it's not much to look at. As you guys can see, this is one of those buildings, part of that wave of rebuilding the whole city, so late 1700s, early 1800s. It's called Lisbon's Holy House of Mercy, right? Oldest institution of Portugal, I would say. I still gotta confirm it, but it's still ongoing. And this is an institution, guys. The building is not that old, comparatively, 1800s, so 200 years more or less, right? The institution, guys, was created in 1498. Does that number ring any bells, guys? The date, the moment? If I tell you 1492 with Christopher Columbus arriving in North America, right?
Yeah.
You have Columbus, the sailor, working for the Spanish royal family, arriving in North America in 1492. This is the age of discoveries, the age of explorations. Essentially, guys, when the Portuguese and the Spanish are traveling all over the world through the oceans, right? The Portuguese, the idea would be, let's try to get to India by way of the Atlantic, along the coast of Africa, trying to find out what's over there, right? If there's a connection, right? And so this is the culmination of that. In 1498, for the first time, we got a single journey connecting Lisbon to India. The sailor would be Vasco da Gama, right? The Portuguese sailor, the Portuguese navigator that went from Lisbon all the way up until India, connecting for the first time the two oceans, right? And so this is that. This one institution, guys, was created at that time, 1498, when we had one of the most powerful royal families in the history of the country. There was a guy called Emmanuel in Portuguese. Manuel. Like the typical Portuguese name, Manuel. The Brazilians call have the caricature for the Portuguese. Everyone's called Manuel, the guys with the mustache. And they're a bit stupid, a bit slow. But so, Manuel I, the king at the time of this peak of the Portuguese discoveries, when the Portuguese are traveling all over the southern hemisphere, getting to India, getting all those colonies in Africa that we were talking about, guys, Angola, Mozambique, Cape Verde, Guinea. Eventually these guys go all the way up until Macau in China, like we were talking about, right? And then across the Atlantic to Brazil, right? But so this guy, just so you guys have an idea of how powerful this guy was, he's considered to be, even after those great conquerors that we learn about in the books, in the movies, Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, some of those guys, right? This guy's considered to be the Portuguese guy, the Portuguese king, the first leader or king or emperor, whatever, in the history of the world to conquer and rule land in 4 different continents all over the world. Portuguese guy. It's crazy. So this is how insane that one notion of the Portuguese Empire was. Tiny little country, exactly the same borders, much smaller population, because we got 11 million right now. In those days, it was closer to 4-5 million, if so. Wow. It's a tiny little country. And this guy spread all over the world, right? And this guy was controlling Portugal in Europe, Brazil with the Americas, the African colonies in Africa, obviously, and then in Asia, there was India, setting up shop in Sri Lanka, Indonesia, Timor, Macau in China, right? So this guy is all over the place. But what's happening is, and so because of that, Lisbon's becoming this very popular, sought after location. Lisbon at the center of all of this that's coming from all over the world, right? Think about the spice trade, the silk trade, exotic animals. Unfortunately, we got to talk about obviously also the transatlantic slave trade. The Portuguese gave a huge push to that. And so Lisbon is at, unfortunately, some very good things, some horrible things happening also at the same time. But because of that, Lisbon is at the center. A lot of money, a lot of resources, a lot of people, unfortunately, are coming over here. So not everyone's going to make it. And so this creates a huge problem of homelessness, of poverty in Lisbon, because it's densely populated, right? And so what happens is the Queen Leonor, sister to the king, checks out all of this, and the idea is that she comes up with the vision, with the idea to create and set up this institution over here, guys, all the way back in 1498, right? It's called Lisbon's Holy House of Mercy. It's essentially a partnership in the beginning with the Catholic Church to set up a charity institution. So your original charity institution to help out the poor and the disenfranchised of Lisbon. Lots of widows, lots of orphans. And so these guys are creating what we know nowadays as like the work of charity institutions. Soup kitchens, orphanages, safe houses, infrastructure, things like this, right? Created all the way back 526 years ago and still has the same name, the same mission statement. It's insane. All of the things, the crazy things implicated or how would you say, a part of this idea of colonization, the Portuguese Empire, everything was lost for the better reasons, obviously. But this one institution survives, created by the Queen. It's very interesting. Lisbon's Holy House of Mercy. Guys, let's go around. Pretty cool viewpoint to show you. But let's be extra careful because we got a very narrow sidewalk ahead of us, okay? You know, there's cars coming from behind us, okay? So let's be extra careful. This would be, check that one out, grab it, Ben, the famous or infamous trams of Lisbon, the yellow trams. This would be number 24, usually the one that shows up everywhere on to-do lists. Number 28, exactly, brother. 28 is the one that does the bigger route along the city. This is a smaller one, but it's still beautiful to look at. From the early 1900s, those trams, so they still run on the same old technology. We call them tram, or we call them elétrico. Electric. Let's go over here, guys, this way. How you doing, Ben?
Yeah.
All good, brother? Check this out. This is not the tram. This is the funicular cable car. So it's essentially a closed street, not regular traffic. Goes up and down the hill. So this for me, guys, kind of like verges on the side of touristy trap a little bit because it just goes down there and back up.
Okay. And this will be expensive, I know.
This will be a bit expensive. I mean, comparing, it's like 4 euros.
Okay.
Just one
Must go down.
single ride.
Yeah, single ride.
It doesn't come back up with the same ticket. So you got to help out
Oh, really?
and then come back again. It's ridiculous.
They're clever.
Doesn't make any sense. They usually, I don't know why, but they are stopping halfway through the hill.
Okay.
Usually they would go down the hill, all the way down to the main road.
Yeah.
But not today. Not today. Not these days, actually.
Okay. So now
I think there's some sort of like a, construction work down there.
Okay.
So they're stopping halfway through the hill over here.
Okay.
We call this the Gloria elevator over here. Gloria would be the name over here. Glory. Calçada de Gloria. So it's kind of like the cobblestones. Calçada would be the name we give to the pavement. Calçada. It's like the cobblestone pavement. Oh, guys, and come here. You guys, remember I was telling you guys about the flowers revolution? The peaceful, paradoxical, almost unbelievable revolution of April. You guys come check out the flower over here. Ben, if you want to grab it. You see that flower over there? I'm sorry, my friend. You see that flower over there? Red carnation. It's not a rose. Over here, guys. Come here. Over there. Fascismo nunca mais. Fascism never again. This was a little tile set up back in April. And you guys can see it. Over here, guys, the 50th birthday. And then 7. I would reckon the city of the 7 hills, Lisbon, over here. And this is the red carnation. The red flower everyone was...
What flower you talked about?
I told you guys about.
Yeah.
You guys probably saw there's a very iconic image from those days where you have a soldier kneeling down, putting his rifle up like this or something like that. And then you have a little blonde-headed kid with holding a flower, trying to reach up and put the flower inside the soldier's rifle, sort of like symbolizing this soldier's revolution to save the new, younger generations, the future of the country, things like this. It's a very interesting one. There's a very iconic image that sort of like sums up in one go the revolution, all of that. Let's walk up, guys, walk up there. Let's check out the viewpoint, see what's happening. The beginning of Portugal is related to the. So you guys see the castle up there? I was telling you, the castle is more or less around. Goes back, we can say. We can trace the origins of the castle back to the 8 to 900s. It's very old, built by this Arab Muslim, sort of like caliphate from the north of Africa, Morocco, Algeria, Mauritania. They crossed over Gibraltar around the 700s, started building these castles all over the country. So for us, for a very tiny country, we actually have loads of castles like this, guys. A place you guys, by the way, if you guys have a few days still over here, a place you guys might want to check out and you'll go absolutely crazy with this one. A castle with a village inside, 1 hour away from Lisbon. Just 1 hour away. If you guys are driving, 45 minutes. If it's by bus, no, it's by bus. No, only bus. A place called Óbidos. Obidos. It's alive. It's good?
Yeah, that was before.
Ah, it was before. Óbidos. Obidos. Beautiful little village inside the walls of a castle. Love it. It's insane, right? Just so you guys know. It's like a suggestion, an idea, right? Tell me.
One of my old work colleagues lives there.
What?
One of my old work colleagues.
Oh yeah?
lives there.
Really?
Yeah.
Close to Óbidos?
Yeah.
Love it. Guys, if you guys got the chance to do so, go check it out. It's very, very worth you. Super worth your while, okay? Castle, beginning of Portugal. Let's paint it like in super broad strokes. Like for the sake of narrative, I'll simplify it a little bit, but just so you guys get the essence of the beginning of Portugal, it's related to the idea of the Crusades. Right? You guys know the Crusades, here 1,000 years ago, Catholic Church wants to move on to Jerusalem, conquer the Holy Land. So we got the Christian armies, essentially modern day France and Italy and Germany and England getting together. Let's rush Jerusalem, take over the Holy Land for the Vatican, for the Pope. Year 1000, right? They secure the Holy Land, they're controlling it, the Templar Knights, white flag, red cross, all of that, right? Now the Catholic Church wants to do the same thing into the Iberian Peninsula. So from Jerusalem, Middle East, all the way up until the Atlantic, right? They want to control everything. So they want to move over to Portugal and Spain, not yet named Portugal or Spain, right? And so there's an idea of a second crusade. So let's jump a little bit further in time. Not the year 1000, we'll jump to the 1120s. 1120s, so let's say, guys, we got 2024, 900 years ago, the 1120s, right? Imagine that we have in the north of Portugal, the whole of Portugal is still pretty much all Islamic, still controlled by the Arab Muslims from that one.
At
At that time, 1120s, okay, guys? In the north, there's a little county, a little town, municipality, however we want to put it, by the water, right? Controlled by what we would call the Spanish Catholic kingdoms, because at this point, Spain was pretty much on the way. Imagine Portugal right here, the rectangle, and then Spain around Portugal, right? The north and the center of Spain are already on the way with several different Spanish kingdoms. Galicia, Castilla, León, Aragon, Navarra, places that are still regions in Spain nowadays, but it's under one country, right? In those days, it was still separate, but still essentially the same people, right? And so the north of Portugal, guys, is, I'm going to simplify it a little bit, but essentially it's controlled by a French knight married to a Spanish princess, let's say. There's a French knight leading a section of the Catholic armies over here, a guy called Henri de Bourgogne, Henry of Burgundy. So the Spanish kingdoms married the guy to a Spanish princess, Teresa, right? And so there's a Spanish princess, French knight, ruling over that one piece of land. To make it super simple, so we can remember it, and for the sake of narrative, obviously, also. I'm not making anything up, but I'm simplifying just a little bit, right? We got the French knight, the French captain ruling over that one piece of land. He dies around the 1120s, or a little bit before that even. Around the 1110s, actually. But so, leading up to the 1120s, what we have is the Spanish princess wants to marry someone else, and so that's the idea of the land being sort of like being reabsorbed by the Spanish kingdoms, right? At that point, 1120s, what we have is the son of the Spanish princess and the French knight, 18 years old, rebelling against his mother. Because what he sees is, okay, You can marry whoever you want to, but this is my land. There's no way this is going to go back to be a part of Spain in commas, right? And so what the kid does is, not a kid, my guys, imagine 900 years ago, a guy 18 years old is kind of like middle age, like today. He was a soldier, also a veteran in the wars, right? And so what this guy does is he gets his own army to go up against his mom's, right? And so what we have is in the beginning of Portugal, what we have is the clash between the mother and the son, essentially. Super broad strokes is essentially, superficially, it's that. There's always still the joke in primary school, when we are going through primary school, the beginning of the school years. You're like 6 years old, September, October, and the teachers are teaching you how to teaching you how to read. You're beginning to learn how to read the ABCs and all of that. And so they start teaching you the beginning of Portugal. So Portugal was born like this. You're 6 years old, like all the kids. Portugal was born like this when the son rebelled against the mother, right? And so that's the moment when we say Portugal came about. Symbolically, sort of like anecdotally, a bit like a silly, sort of like a little joke. There's actually a moment also that a lot of people say there was literally an incident. It's a bit of a legend, obviously. It's kind of like a joke that accounts for the beginning of Portugal, when we have the two armies about to collide, mom's army and the son's army. And so we have a little parlay before the war. And so there's a lot, guys, this is kind of like legend / anecdote. And the joke that says, or that accounts for, that's the beginning of Portugal. The beginning of the soul, the idea of the Portuguese. Because at this point there was no Portuguese, right? The son and the mother meet in the middle of the battlefield. You have the two armies, one over here, one over there, ready to bang, right? They meet in the middle, trying to come up with some sort of like agreement, some sort of truce, some sort of compromise. There's no truce, no agreements made, no one moves an inch. And so they say, okay, we battle, we fight, right? And so there's the silly legend. The story goes that the son actually slapped the mom about, his mother about, like smacked her in the face. This is like the joke. That accounts for the beginning of Portugal. Obviously, it didn't happen exactly like that, but in some circles, the story survives of the son slapping his mom about in front of the two armies, and people say, okay, Portugal was born right there. The son, literally, but also symbolically, but literally also rebelling against his mom. Essentially, guys, we got the two armies colliding around these 1120s, right? The son wins the battle, starts calling himself at some point after this the first king of Portugal. Wow. Portucale was the name of that one region over there. Portucale, two words combined, meaning port town, a town built by the water, something like this. Eventually becoming Portugal, all of that. Right? So the guy starts saying, this is a kingdom now, separated from Spain. So the guy's rebelling against his mom, against his family, against the Catholic kings of Spain, saying this is a new enterprise,
New era.
a new era, new vision, anoints himself a king at some point, and keeps traveling down south, because the whole south is still all Islamic. And so this guy keeps pushing down against the Moors, MOORS, or the Muslims from the north of Africa in those days, and effectively he's still rebelling against his family, his people in Spain, right? To the east, right? Legendary figure. This is happening around the 1120s in the north, 1147. If you guys check out the castle up there on the hill, it's when the Portuguese, not quite Portuguese, but still, the Catholic armies take over the city. 1147. You guys went there? Did you guys see? Did you guys see on the restaurant? They have a restaurant with a big window overlooking this side, and they got a big slogan written saying "Rooftop since 1147." It's like, that's the joke, right?
This castle was for who at that time?
So the castle was Muslim.
Okay, this one.
Yes, conquered by the first king of Portugal in 1147. Right, so Lisbon became a Catholic city, Portuguese city, all the way back in 1147. So in 33 years, 2047, in 33 years, Lisbon will be celebrating 900 years. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Doesn't make any sense, but it's here. It's like almost unbelievable to even comprehend, like the The time span, right, brother? It's insane. It's insane. It's considered to be one of the oldest cities in Europe. Some people say it's kind of like only second to Athens in Europe. And so now, guys, let's go through Bairro Alto, the high neighborhood, the buildings, the facade we see in front of us, right? That this place that works or that functions as nowadays not the main, but maybe one of the main epicenters for the nightlife, where the pub crawls and all the partying usually revolves around over here.